Hello everybody, welcome back. We're down in the basement again. Alright, real quick, you're on a different phone camera. My phone got destroyed. I might show you pics of that thing later. It's not good. Definitely can't recommend it to kids under the years of 18 because it's a horror. It got destroyed. Anyway, I wanted to just talk real quick, and I know I am going to make this video real quick. We're going to make some quick, maybe not, it's going to be so quick. Inside the Lingle and the Black Knight 2. I kind of have a little turntable here. My table is round, so I kind of tore one apart and I just spun the table around, tore the other one apart, mainly to try to track down which bearings I needed and which ones already were in the reel. So these are out of, wow, look at those freaking mitts. Anyway, you guys make out those sizes. Now, I have these, and I was able to track down more at the RC track. And a shout out to my son Noah, who won Mod 4-wheel drive 10 scale buggy, and he should be invited to the invitational race that we just attended. He should be invited next year for winning that race. Anyway, big shout out. While I was up there, I picked up some more of these. 4 by 7 by 2.5 are what the bigger one is, and I'll show you where it goes here in a minute. That smaller one is 3 by 6, meaning the inside, well, why didn't it focus? When I put 2 in there, it focused. Hang on. There we go. So yeah, the smaller ones, that's a 3 by 6 by 2.5. The 3 is the internal hole diameter, the 7 or the 6, or in this case the 4 on the internal. And then how wide they are is the last number. That's how you measure your bearings for anybody wanting to know. So anyway, these two go on the worm gear on the Black Knight 2. On your drive side, has a big, well, that's not the right side. Oh my God. Trying to do this and look through a viewfinder is not good. So basically it goes like that, and it goes inside the housing, which is down here. And the little one goes on this side. And I've commented before when I first tore into this reel, this is actually not a bad thing. It's bad that they're bushings. The good, bushings mean you can simply replace with bearings and you have your worm gear all on bearings. That's the good about this reel as far as that goes. And if you weren't familiar with the other teardown I did, you can look for it and watch it. But basically, this reel, they kind of put it to us on this one. It was advertised as 11 bearings, which we're going to give them the one roller right, and then I think they left the bearings out of the handle. Anyway, there's not. There's only like 6. So I think they left the handle bearings out. But the only 2 you need to really truly worry about getting, and you don't need to worry about these. The reel functions fine without them. But if you get these 2, turn them into bearings, then inside the reel has all the bearings it needs. It already has them supported. One in here, one on the outside of your roller bearing. Your roller bearing, it's got one in here. It's got the spool bearings. As you can see, it's got the one on the one side of the spool and then the one in there. So it's got, and these are the little higher end bearings on the spool bearings. So once you buy these 2 bearings, and you can track them down in various ways. I'm going through my RC track, and he ordered me these smaller ones. They are the ones that are hard to find. I believe, and I need to double check, and you guys may already know if you know Daiwa and other ones. And here's the Lingle. We'll talk about it in a minute. I believe that almost all of your outside bearing sizes are the same on the, or the drive, I call it the drive side, where you're winding in the reel. It always has the gear, and a lot of companies put bearings or bushings here, but then they fail to put over here like we're getting ready to talk about. So that's good about the Black Knight 2. They left you that option. So I'm probably going to throw this reel back together before the other bearings come in. I'm going to put the one on the one side, and we'll know we need to go in at some point and add the other one because we can, and we might as well, for they're only a couple dollars. So if you track them down, and you can find them on AliExpress and all that kind of stuff. But what I've seen so far on AliExpress, you got to buy them like by the 10 pack. These came in 4 for $9. It's cheaper if you go on AliExpress. It's $10 or $12 and you get 10 of them. But like I said, mentioned, there's a size 4 by 7 by 2. The other one would be 3 by 6 by 2.5. I mean 2.5. Now, for some reason, you can only come up with, this number is narrower, like say 2. Sometimes you'll find them 4 by 7 by 2 or 3 by 6 by 2. Technically, you could still use that bearing. You would need to shim it some way or another. But technically, that bearing would work. I could make it work. I put it that way. Okay. So we got the bearings on the worm gears. Here's the downside to the Lingle and the upside. The upside, as you can clearly make out, whoa, now you can't. Oh my God. That is a bearing on the side that counts. So it's already there. Here's the unfortunate thing, for me anyway, because I like putting bearings and stuff. I just do. Where this fits in, there is no way. The way this is designed, oh boy, here. Maybe I'm not going to like my new camera phone. Holy cow. You guys make that out? That is made to where there's just not a bearing in there, I don't think. Did I tear this part all the way? Yeah, I think that's one solid unit. Well, we can try it. Hang on. The real test says he's thorough. I've never seen him tear apart one of these things. Okay, anyway, I'm just joking. I'm just giving him a hard time. If he ain't watching this. Nobody watches these videos. So, the plus side to the Lingle, it's already got all the bearings. I've torn it apart, and the bearings are here where they need to be. They're here where they need to be. They're down in here where they need to be. So, the Lingle, you don't need to worry about ordering another bearing because it won't fit there in the first place. You can't get the one. It already has the 4 by 7 by 2.5 on the side it needs it, and the other one you couldn't put that smaller bearing in there. I'm sure somebody could try a way. You'd have to do some cutting and some mangling, and I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to put this reel back together, and it's good to go. I'm going to slap this one back together, and I'll have to put this bushing back. I'll change this one out to a bearing, and well, it's still plenty fine enough, and that actually puts you to where even a lot of your higher end reels are. So I guess I give both of these a plus, and it's hard to call it because they did add the bearing with this one. If this one would have had the 4 bearings in the handles, I'd probably call this the winner. But since they kind of screwed us around on 4 of the bearings, I switched mine out to the single lifestyle, by the way. So that has 2 bearings inside of it. That's the Abu Garcia old handle that I cut down. So there's 2 bigger bearings, and I can't quote you what the actual size the Abu Garcias are. They're bigger than Daiwa and Shimano. Anyway, okay, here's what I want to talk about real quick. We're going to compare some of the internals while we got them apart. As you can see, if you're debating about getting these, here's the Lingle, and they have the same braking systems, but they have been changed. This is a standard size, roughly, and then they kind of made it in a micro size. And you can see I've stuck these magnets on there, and I'm going to shake it for you. Now, I'm not saying you can't knock these out of whack, but those magnets right like there, and I've got a video out on it, but if you need to increase the braking power of your Black Knight 2, simply just stick some magnets right there like I did, a couple on each side, no more than 2. And you can't put them here. I already tried. They will try to rub on the inside of the spool. Like they won't even fit on, so don't try that. Now, what I thought about doing, and I just am not going to because I don't feel confident, I was going to try to apply some heat and put like anything on this and basically heat these up. Because here's what I thought, what I'd like to do, but I don't have that technology right now. If I could add some heat and get these magnets out of the glue they're in and re-glue them just a hair, and I'm talking just a hair further out. Because if you see that, now maybe you wouldn't want to do it with the ones where the magnets actually move. Like down here, this thing that actually comes out, because that might come out far enough to where it could affect something. But these internal ones, they just sit there. When you're moving this out here, those don't go anywhere. And if you look at how low they set, I'll try to show you a picture here. They set just down a hair. So I don't know. And that may be something that wouldn't work. But I thought about trying that. But what's weird is that right there just works. Now what you can do If you're like, oh no, Charlie, I'm not like going to count on the magnetic pressures to hold that. You can simply add some double-sided tape and put these on, oh boy, flush, you know, with double-sided tape. I've I've had them on there. They're actually, when you try to leave them there, they end up sliding over like that. So I just let them ride, let it ride. So anyway, in comparing the two things, oh boy, let me set this down. Where did I do with the other one? Oh my God, I've lost. Where did I put it? Oh boy. You guys help me out. Rewind. Oh, here it is. Look, way over here. I have to give this one the win because this thing's got good brakes. The Lingle got better brakes. It's just a better true set it and forget it in my mind. Like I've thrown both in the wind. This thing, you got to like, I like it at that just above 4, but then I had to crank it all the way to 5 in the wind, to where this guy just, I didn't seem to have to do that. And oh, that's another thing why I felt that wiggle. Now on all of these I'm finding, you see that? They all wiggle and wobble around, and I think that's normal. If somebody's wondering like, oh boy, is that like unnatural? Now when you come in, when the brakes are all the way turned in, hello Jay, Jay just tuned in. Anyway, when they're all the way in, they are kind of tight. But when you come out all the way, which that's typically what this reel needs, or just in, which we've talked about it before, I like mine just 1 notch above 4. What is on that? Anyway, right there. They don't wiggle, they wiggle some, but when you go full tilt, they wiggle even a little more. So I don't know if that's what some of the problem could be, and I guess I should, hang on, don't go anywhere. We'll see how thorough I am. Don't you move. Look at that. Oh boy. Hang on. Let me get this reel off. I mean, I got one, so we might as well just compare it to what they're copied off of. The Shimano. Let's wiggle it. Let's give it a little wiggle. Oh yeah, look at that. So that's not the issue, because this baby casts real good too. You see that wiggle? So if you don't own any of the higher end ones and you're thinking like some of these Chinese AliExpress ones, like, wow, that's not supposed to do that. Yeah, it is. It's just the nature of the beast and how that is designed. When you adjust it, it goes in and out. Evidently perfectly normal. Okay, so we give the nod. Now I lost that thing again. Come here. This thing is, man, no wonder they got that little freaking gull wing on some of these. These things are hard to keep track of. So I have to give the Lingle the win there. So I've kind of given the Lingle the win on the bearings and kind of on the braking system. When it comes to spool though, although this does cast very good, I cannot give the Lingle the win. This came with what it's supposed to have in a very lightweight spool. So that's where I give the Black Knight 2 the win. So let's talk about one of the last things, and then I'm going to get out of here. I'm serious, you guys. I'm getting out of here. I'm not showing you how to put them back together. That'll be in another video, maybe. Let's talk about one of the last things. I give them both kind of a plus on this. This is the Lingle. This is the Dingle. No, this is Black Knight 2. In looking at these, I think I like this one better. No, not just because of the looks. Well, partially because of the looks. And I'm trying to show you. See that right there? If you can make out, that's a pretty good camera. My new phone. It's a brand new phone. I can't remember the name of it. Cerebro or something. 5 or S or something. Cheap new phone through Boost Mobile, baby. I was at Metro, and I tried to go through AT&T. That's a long story. Oh my God, AT&T. I sat there for over an hour. It's like being at a car, trying to buy a new car, and they bring up a $5,000 tax that you didn't know you owed. Anyway, that's a good camera. They wanted me to pay full price, and I wanted to try to buy a phone through their plan on a payment deal. I was going to get the newest freaking Samsung S21 5G rated, whatever. I was going to pay $1,100. I picked this phone up here that's got this perfect looking camera for, you guessed it, $100, because I buy stuff on AliExpress and I get deals. Anyway, look at that thing. I like how it's big, but I think they knocked it down because the same problem the T-Wings have. You have to have a huge hump, and in order to get it to fit under here and not have this raised crazy high. They had to kind of square that off, which I guess that would be okay, but do you guys see what they really needed to do? And maybe in a further update, well, now it's not. Do you see how sharp the edges are on that? I mean, I don't think they're cut your line sharp, but that technically could get in the way of, it could hinder your, I feel anyway, because it's like a sharp edge. If you look, and I won't be able to show you because I haven't torn it apart, but on this reel even, on the Black Knight 2, well, maybe. Get the thumb out of the way. Told you guys, I got big hands, man. That's why my fish look so small. I catch huge fish. They just look small. That's definitely a more rounded, the shape's different, but I'm talking about how the metal is formed. It's more rounded. But anyway, I have to give the win here again to the Black Knight 2. So technically, they're about even. But I don't know. Maybe you can see this. Yeah, this camera. Oh, look at that. Whoa, you had it. Get it back. Come on. It won't focus. Well, you can catch it for a second, and actually, if you want to pause your deal, but that Shimano one is like very, almost, I don't know, it's definitely more rounded right at the end to where there's no sharp edges for the line to catch on. And the Black Knight 2 comes the closest to that. And the only other, I guess, let's talk about all the little negatives while I got these tore apart. This Black Knight, this is a Lingle. Why they made that plastic and put in there, it seems like a harder, I don't know. Most aluminum drag stars I've seen just have that as also metal. It's just like formed, however they form these or whatever however they make them, it's metal. But here they made that smooth and then they stuck in the, it's kind of like a last minute decision. Oh, let's put a clicker like this. So they made a little plastic gear to catch. So I don't know. I don't know if I like it. It works fine. I guess it'll last forever, but that was kind of a flaw. And you guys, I'm not going into, because I've showed you how the clickers work in other videos if you want to check that out. And the clickers both seem fine. The Lingle has a more traditional style. I guess I'll show it to you real quick since you asked. In case this is your first video. The Lingle's more traditional. That's why almost all your aftermarket anyway. Clickers were coming around. Dr. Trout, I've talked about him before on eBay. I think he's still there. From the UK, I believe, was first guy I knew of making them. I can't say for sure if he was the first or not. But then there's other guys, and I can't think of his name. I was going to give him a shout out because I haven't bought any of his, but he was making them for the Alphas. And Raw Fishing, I've talked about him before. He actually made Roar Fishing his own personalized one that had his name and all. I watched that video the other day. I'm not going to pop that out. But anyway, inside there, it's got a bigger gear here. Now, in my mind, this is going to make a reel way more. But it comes on a reel that is lighter than that reel. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's got this bigger gear. Now, the plus to this, you won't affect with, if you want to make a huge honking brake pad, and you can put the clicker way out here, or like they do it if you guys haven't seen the clamber video, they kind of make it in here. Because the only downside I've seen anyway when I was making these myself, because I did make these myself at one point in time. I kind of gave up now. For like $17 you can get these on, well, a lot of reels come with them, or you can buy some that fit other reels and possibly your reel, or like if you've watched me do to the Cast King Zephyr, I modified a Daiwa one to fit in it. When you start cutting and changing here, you have to make your little drag washers small enough to fit in there to where they're technically not as big as some of your reel manufacturers intended them to be. But usually, when you're dealing especially with BFS, or you're turning a reel into BFS, a lighter drag is not a bad thing, right? Right? Okay. So, let me check the... Jay says camera's really sharp. Thank you, Jay. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here because I got, it's been a nightmare. I spent all day Saturday looking around trying to track down a deal on a phone. Ended up Sunday going to Boost Mobile today, which is Sunday, and had a deal in and out. Cool phone. Actually works good. It's got 3 cameras on I think one's more does for the video, one's more for taking pics, and one's for live motion. I don't know. I don't know all that details on what all they do, but anyway, guys, if you got any questions, I'm gonna slap these back together. I don't think anybody needs to see a how to put them back together video. I've kind of put one, I think, back together, maybe in each one from like a certain, not that quite this far torn down. But those can get extensive trying to explain play by play, which piece goes where, how you put it back. And I'll be honest, most all these reels, these two right here, almost all, they're not the same fitting components. They won't fit each, you know, they don't swap around from reel to reel, but they're almost all go the same way. There's not a huge difference in how a reel comes apart or goes back together. They're almost all the same components and pieced together how they go. For example, this piece right here is what needs to go on that shaft first. Whoa, don't spin it around. On this shaft before then your rest of your, you know, gear, brake stack and all that. And same thing with the Lingle. And I guess I should tell you the universal thing is like, say if you take this off, see the chainsaw, the cutter, your sawzall blade looking thing, that always goes like that, just like you see it, because what that does is that's what kicks in your hits that little thing and kicks it back in. So always remember your little piece, because I've seen people, I'll be honest, I put them on backwards. That's what hits that thing. So that one on that reel, this one on here, and they'll be shaped slightly different, but just remember like that. If you try to put them on like this, well, that's just going to hit and it won't let you engage the clutch again. So if you somehow you end up that's flipped around, you're like, oh God, which way does this go? I'm showing you right now. And that's really the hardest part, and I've talked about these before, the springy thingies. If you get to this part and you're like, oh God, this thing's flopping around, and you're like, I don't know which way it went, which way did it go? The flat part always goes up because that's where your springs sit on. There's like a, let me see if this camera, there's like a tapered, like a ramp type part. That always goes down because that's what it has to engage on these things down in here that have, if you look in there, they have a ramp on them. So that part always, the rampy part goes down, the flat part on top, if you ever question any of that. And all your reels, they all have that, and they will all be the same. What else is like a universal thing? Almost all of these where your roller, I guess I'm not going to mention it in this video, but sometimes it's a good idea to know what to polish. Some people are like, I'm going to polish my parts up to make them smoother, but some stuff you want to leave alone. I typically like to just leave stuff alone, let it wear its same. So these two things, this goes in, and you can grease it. There's a lot of different ways on how some guys say grease it or oil it or whatever, but they come usually greased. Light coating, don't go heavy. And then out here the same way. This one honestly almost has too much grease. Remember everything, which the whole roller, the worm gears, they're setting out. Dust, dirt, everything can be blown around and go. And the more grease you have, guess what? The more dirt and debris is going to stick to it. You want just enough grease. So they're greasy, but they're not slimy. They're not so nasty that they're just going to draw in more and more stuff to it. And they actually sell different greases that you can get that supposedly don't. That is not, I didn't do that. That was a chair making a noise, I swear. I swear to baby Jesus. Anyway, so when you come to this thing, a lot of times, and you probably can't see in there. I left it in there. There's a little spacer there to let you know it just pushes this up to the right space it needs to be, your little piece that goes in there. So a lot of times I've seen people that will fall out and they lose track and they don't realize that it goes in there. Almost everything I've ever had has that. And it actually has a little, which I call an oil port. Almost every one of them have a little hole there. So technically, if you're a guy that doesn't like doing what I'm doing, like right here, which I used to be there, if you're wanting to add, you could put like a little drop of oil to let it fall in there if you were kind of, had a year, say a reel, not a year, a reel, say for 5 years, and you're like, I just want to add some oil or grease to it. That's one way you could do that there. But anyway, I don't know. We're not talking about totally relubing one of these. We're done talking. If you have any questions about these two reels, I've kind of put out videos showing me use them in action, and I'm going to put a complete video together. I basically have tested several of, whether it be AliExpress or regular reels. I've owned almost all of them, and I'm going to put together my complete video on the Black Knight 2, on the Lingle, and then the reel I don't have out here, the clamber, because I'll be honest, the clamber, I'm not talking about performance-wise or cool factor or whatever. I'm talking about pure build quality. Just for the fact it's built out of aluminum, spool tolerances are better. I still don't like it better than these two reels, but it is a better built reel, the Fishband Clamber. You're not, no issues with 2-pound test even ever getting stuck in it, on me anyway. I've cast it. It's a solid reel, but it is more money. It's $120. You could stick a little more money in these as far as, you know, like, well, what if something breaks later on? Well, by the time you get $40 down the way with stuff breaking on these, and you figure out a way to order through your, you know, kit manual, then I don't know, you could almost buy a whole nother one of these later on down the road for the price of, you know, the 120. You caught these were on sale not long ago for like $70. You know, so you buy two of them, a little over 140. So you're talking that add you another 25, $30. You could buy two reels for the price of one clamber. Nobody knows how long any of these will last. I've got the Fishband PW100 that I have owned personally since they came out. I call it over 2 years old, and finally the anti-roller, or the roller bearing, the anti-reverse bearing, the big one in here, finally started slipping on me. I call it slipping or whatever. But I've seen them. I just haven't actually measured it and ordered one, because I'm thinking about retiring that reel anyway. Because I caught my personal best bass on it, and then it started, like, I don't know, started giving out. Had no issues up until like the week after I caught my personal best, and we did get on we caught a bunch of like 1.5 pound, close to 2 pound bass. Like, we got on a tear, me and Charles, and it started slipping. I'm like, oh, then tore it out like I did with back in the day. I was using Zebco 1s, a little bit bigger and better. I call them better than Zebco 33s, and we got on a bullhead. Went to this old pig farmers. You guys ever know what a pig farm is? Big area where they raise pigs, and they had this pond that was loaded with catfish and bullhead, but loaded with bullhead, like big bullhead, 1.5 pound, 2 pound, hit everything that hit the freaking water. I in one day stripped out 2 brand new Zebco 1s. And that's when I switched to bait casting gear. I'm like, no more silly bullheads either. I haven't caught a bullhead in years. You guys ever catch bullhead anymore? I have not caught a bullhead catfish in I don't know how many years. Catch catfish like every month, it seems like, when I'm bass fishing or so. No bullheads. Caught drum while I was trying to catch smallmouth. All right, guys. I hope you found some of this informational, entertaining, and I'll catch you next time. I got to get to putting these back together. I would try to do that. It's probably going to take me an hour to get them both back together. Well, probably not that long, but the more I sit and talk to you guys, and the longer it takes, and I could start doing it now, but then I get sidetracked when I'm trying to show and all that, and I usually end up putting something together raw. So anyway, guys, thanks. I just realized. Oh, Jay's saying he just retired his PW100 now that he has 2 Lingles and a Black Knight 2. Well, Charles is not retiring his PW100s. He's sticking with them and those, I keep wanting to say Black Knight, but the Black Maxes. He's customized the Black Maxes. I probably will not be doing that. I was going to do that, and I started adding up prices. Oh, yeah. I forgot what I was going to tell you guys about. Here, get this. As I get out of here. I was showing you guys, I bought all these rods, but I had a list of stuff I was going to buy on AliExpress for that sale. And I showed you guys what I'd recommend in all that video. I had like, I don't know how many hours, 4 or 5 hours that night, right? And so I go to sleep. I was going to order it before I went to sleep. Well, silly me with all this racing, RC stuff with knowing everything. Guess what I did? You guessed it. I fell asleep, woke up, clicked my phone, sale had ended. So I missed out on all that deals I could have got. Now I don't know. I still got everything in my cart. Probably going to buy more than half of it, but I'm also tempted. I don't need anything. I mean, we may get another day or two here or there fishing before, it's totally over with. So I think I'm just going to try to wait for the next sale that pops up before I buy any more reels. Because I wanted to get one of each more of these, and I definitely, just to be able to show it on the show and compare it, I was going to get the new Dark Wolf, the 50S or whatever the little one is, that's like basically the Black Knight 2 with all the life sucked out of it. And another, I was still up in the air with the Vivid, or I think that's another thing. The Vivids, I'm thinking I'm going to order another one of those because for $40-some, I think you got something very close to the 6.6 Cayenne Teton, and that's $80-some, and that's with the light tip. But then you have an ultralight tip also with the Vivid one. So I think I'm gonna, which I have that now, so that's what I recommend for people. But so I got that. So I'm thinking about getting a Vivid in the next size up, and I really don't need any more rods. But man, that freaking, if you guys have seen it, I've talked about it on different groups. That Rainy Stream keeps talking to me. It's a $200 rod. I've already got a $120 rod that was $145 with shipping that has not made it yet, that I want to be able to test out and see, how good are some of the higher, and it's from a different brand. It's a Lure Star, I think, not a Carium, however you pronounce that. But how good a quality and what blanks are there, $120-some rods on, because I've had bad luck with the Conquerors. They're $50 at the time, $50 Tetons, and $80 Tetons had better rod blanks than their Cayenne Conquerors in my mind. The other ones were supposed to be, they were maybe a touch lighter, crisper, and all that, but they're more fragile than the other ones. So I was kind of trying this one rod I bought with all these other rods I bought for $120, and it needs to get here so I can test it because if I have issues with that rod, that basically means that every rod I've spent over $100 on AliExpress has not been worth it. So I will definitely not be recommending or buying any rods. Probably won't buy that other trout rod, as good as it looks, just for that, fact. These $20 and $40 rods, I'm telling you though, for the money, they are hard to beat. First of all, you can't find anything in the States that are anywhere close to, the actions and powers and just, the cool factor, looks of them and all that. They got some have JDM styling or just styling in general, like from wherever, to where you find something around here that will work for BFS. First of all, it's either $179 to $200, or it's a $29 thing that is may function perfectly fine, but it just looks, I'll be honest, to me, cheap. It's that cheap, just run-of-the-mill reel seat with the run-of-the-mill cork, run-of-the-mill eyes, run-of-the-mill everything that just does not, it may work, but it's just not what I like. So anyway, guys, any questions? I don't know if you should ask me or not, but feel free to. I'm out of here. Get these reels put back together. I'm hoping if next weekend is as nice as this weekend, because I could have been out fishing both days, Saturday and Sunday. Got up to close to 50 on Saturday. It was a little windy, but it was 50 something today, 51, whatever. But if I get a 50-degree day next week, I'm going to probably get out and get on the water again. Yeah. Brew Tank Outdoors just joined in. Thank you, sir. He came, checked out the telescopic finesse rod Charles has. Yeah. Yeah, that for like a work. Well, you can also get 3-piece rods or 4-piece that aren't really telescopic, that they don't take long to assemble either. Because to me, in my mind, by the time you pull out each one and you line it up, because Charles's telescopic one's like a 5 or 6. It gets real long, but it's a lot of pieces. But some of these 3-piece rods are not that long. You get like a 5'6" that's in a 3-piece. That's a little bitty travel rod. Like you can, which the high dollar one would be the Valiant Eagle from Cast King. I almost bought one of those, But there's several on there. There's also several that I didn't even really talk about, fiberglass rods on AliExpress that probably wouldn't be a bad buy also. And they're like, there's one on that just clicks in my memory that's like a 3-piece. You can get it in 3 different colors, like blue. They call it bamboo yellow, blue, and then some other color, or maybe white or clear or something. Those rods don't look horrible to me. They're not my. Charles has got. If you haven't heard, Charles has a. He's having a rod builder local around him build him a. I think it's solid fiberglass rod, and then he found a hollowed out, old style fiberglass rod that he's gonna maybe have eyes. He kind of put eyes on himself, but he's kind of like me. He's not the greatest at it. He can do it, but you want a professional rod build. Me and Charles, we're not your guys. So anyway, having said all that, I'm out of here, guys. I know I keep trying to leave, and then I just can't leave. I keep trying to not buy more fishing rod and reels, and I just can't do it. Right? Exactly. Anyway, if you haven't checked out those videos, I just put a video out on this guy. A few different, just out on the water catching fish with it. Same thing with this one as the last one I just put out today. Fishing it on the. You probably already seen that video, but I was fishing it on the Toma, and then I jumped right into fishing it on the which it's intended for. My original intentions were for the Tatula. And I thought I had a monster, and Charles was making fun of me. I was making fun of myself. A little dink got on there, and we hadn't had any fish. So, like, when I set the hook, man, Mike Iaconelli popped in my head. I thought I had a monster. And then, though, there's another one right after that. I did catch what I call monsters, giants. I call them giants nowadays, but anyway. So check out those 2 videos. I just put them out, one today and one yesterday. And what I consider pretty cool on the water footage of putting some of the stuff I've been talking about and showing you guys, putting it to work. And I got to go to work in the morning, so I got to hurry up and get these put together and relax for a little while. RC racing and casting, actually fishing can be a lot more relaxing than RC racing. Thanks for racing. Thanks for watching, guys. Get out of here and go bass and bonsai for yourself. And no matter what, if you're doing something else other than bass and bonsai, make sure you're having fun doing it. I'm out. For real this time.